For many years, men have been tricked into believing that women are some sort of reward just for being female. This has been highlighted more than ever before, especially in light of some philosophies that advocate for so-called women's empowerment.
But there's something to be said about age and experience, life experience. A lot happens in your 20s, and things level out.
Getting
when you
ran
get
through
older.
in baggage and trauma.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
There's people with
men don't want that.
intelligence.
We don't like
Men
experience.
don't want that in a
So
partner.
then why aren't they
Experience,
wifing
no.
us early? Why are they running around town? Like, you know, if they don't want us ran through and baggage and trauma, why are they like they're waiting till like, how are we so at 20 I should be looking for 40-year-olds that are ready to settle?
Not
Like, I don't know how to
not necessarily.
I don't know how you it sounds like just a losing battle all around if you look at it as like all the responsibilities.
But
like, on the
it depends
woman.
on if you're a wife. All wives are found, always. If you're 20 years old and you're a wife, you're going to be found, period, in the story.
Men are becoming more and more tired of that, and they would rather choose an alternative road than follow unhelpful social norms. I'll talk about a few of the justifications they use to make you think that women are fantastic in all they do. Men in particular are being led to believe that women with baggage make for ideal romantic partners. Regardless of whether you identify as a man,
What do you mean?
Don't leave. Women leave. 70% of the time. If they're college educated, they leave 90% of the time.
Correct.
Women ruin relationships and they ruin families.
Women
so
leave.
Women typically do it.
Actually,
and so if a guy
if a man-
ask the majority of men, their first choice is not a baby mother.
Mama.
Just like our first choice typically is not a short broke guy.
That's right.
It's the
That's
same
right.
thing. It's the same thing. Now, will we put up with a guy that's shorter if he's good looking? Sure. Will a guy put up with a single mother if she has some other things that she brings to the table? Maybe she's attractive. Maybe she has other stuff. Maybe she's submissive. Whatever it is that he values. Yeah, but it's most men. It is not their first choice.
Okay.
except for your mother, the majority of women don't care about your troubles. Another belief that society accepts but does not consider is that women can obtain any entitlements they desire, even if they do not merit them, or have put as much effort into earning them as men have. It's almost as if women's entitlement is systematically promoted by society, giving free licenses to women to expect everything to be handed over to them without having to work for it in any way. The only qualification needed for this is that the person has to be female, and all of society will completely ensure their full support.
So there's lots of layers that come before splitting the bill. Energetic layers. As a feminine energy woman, you need to be discerning whether this man is in his masculine energy or not. Is he taking action and planning the date? If he's saying, let's do a coffee date, are you communicating that that doesn't feel right for you, that feels very platonic? The man should be leading the entire conversation and intent and interest to take you out on a date. You also need to be communicating your boundaries and what feels good for you in your feminine energy. These layers add up to the point where you actually are on the date together and the bill does come. A man wants to invest his time, money, effort, and intent into a woman that is soft. She is very receptive. She's really warm and appreciative. So these things need to be communicated energetically, verbal and nonverbal, before you go on the date. So you decide who's worthy of your feminine energy.
So now we have dating coaches telling women to only split the bill if their feminine energy tells them to. Wow. I think the general rule of thumb is that if you ask someone out, you pay for the date. But if you are going to do something else, like split the bill, that should be discussed tactfully before the date begins. Arguing over a bill makes the guy seem cheap and petty. It's not a good look. So, my recommendation is that the guy pays for the date unless she insists on splitting the bill. But then, he shouldn't take her on overly expensive dates, buy her expensive gifts, etc. If a woman insists on those things, it's a huge red flag. And the first date should be a coffee date. If you don't drink coffee, it can be some other inexpensive beverage. Or it can be something like a walk on the beach, etc. The idea is to have a short, inexpensive date. This allows you to learn enough about her to determine if she deserves a second date. Then you can step things up a little with each additional date she earns. Don't be a cheapskate, but don't lead with your wallet either. That's just a good way to be taken advantage of. The fact that women feel entitled might be understandable from some aspects, but the fact that they feel too entitled, which means they feel entitled just because that's how it is the topic of discussion and debate here. And it is even more so because society has jumped on the woke feminist bandwagon that calls for equality in every aspect of life, and yet continues to support women to feel entitled to everything a man does, earns, and produces is just perplexing to say the least. Women need to understand the contradiction in their lives between expecting everything to be taken care of on the one hand and carrying signs calling for equality while marching through the streets on the other. But one thing is certain: modern women's main weapon against men is manipulation. They have been accustomed to it since they were teenagers and will keep using it till they pass away. They will attempt to manipulate your feelings to get what they want because, as we all know, they believe they are entitled to it. They'll try to persuade you to do things like give them gifts, agree to let them see other people, move closer to where they work, and accept whatever it is they want you to believe. There is no end to it. Also, it commonly works on frail males. We all know that they are primarily after one thing, and because of this, they will tolerate abuse for that one thing alone. As a result, they unwittingly or actively fall for women's manipulative strategies. Consequently, men should stay away from such women who they are aware will take advantage of them and manipulate them to satisfy the expectations they feel entitled to. Why do you think modern women feel entitled? Have you ever questioned why so many women feel entitled in general? Men are supposed to do everything for them, even in the so-called age of equity and equality that we live in today. It almost seems as though they believe they have a right to certain things from men. I mean, it begins with the very first exchange and interaction. When a guy and a girl see each other and like what they see, it's the man who's supposed to approach the woman. The man is supposed to think of a way to get her attention, while she plays hard to get it. She expects the man to approach her, and expects him to come with compliments, gifts, a boat full of attention, desire, and lust for her. Then, the guy is meant to ask her out on a date. The guy is expected to plan the ideal date, make all the necessary arrangements, book the reservation, and then make sure he has a comfortable vehicle to pick her up and chauffeur her around. The man is then expected to cover the cost of the date. The man is responsible for covering the cost of the beverages, presents, and other expenses. He will be viewed as a miserly coward who wants a woman to pay if he dares to ask if she may split the tab. After they've been on the date, it's the guy who's supposed to make the move and give her the first kiss. It's the guy who's supposed to make the move in bed and lead her, while the girl still plays hard to get, and yet expects to be treated like royalty. Men are expected to take the lead, plain and simple. Somewhere along the line, I think everyone must have thought about why women always expect everything to be done by the man. I mean, even in long-term relationships, the guy is supposed to do the tough housework and provide for the entire family. Where did the woke feminists go now? What happened to equality, right? Throughout their lives, men are supposed to do everything for women and literally dedicate their lives to providing for, protecting, and helping women. And you know what? Men do that with honor. They do it proudly because that's in their nature. I'm talking about high-value men, not a simp who starts crying if he gets rejected by a girl. But the question is, why is it that women expect everything from a man, especially when all they can do now is talk about equality and how men have oppressed them and controlled them? Modern women have indeed become too entitled. I applaud you for making one of the best choices you could ever make if you are not considering dating anytime soon. More than anything else, stories about a happy wife and happy life have ruined men. You can do two things when reality hits you in the face. Either you deal with it, or you cry about it. The latter is preferred by MGTOW males, since they don't like to impose their opinions on others, let alone employ social engineering to influence women or other men. Even if a lot of people can't believe that you can make decisions that don't violate anyone's rights, since they are so irrational. Try as you might, you can't waste time persuading them of anything. Leave them alone and focus on surrounding yourself with positive influences. Why do I even say this at all? Because one of the greatest obstacles for contemporary males to overcome to achieve in the world today is social engineering. The system encourages men to be passive and placid, to pay their taxes, and to accept less than they are entitled to. This explains why the body positivity movement is so popular right now. A male who has the same health problems as a woman cannot be featured on the cover of a magazine. In reality, it would be mocked. I won't say that women will accept any male if I know that their nature is hypergamy. I'm not into promoting promiscuity in any manner, even though certain modern women may be promiscuous, and you can simply convince them to come to your place. I genuinely mean it when I say that the system wants you to accept less than you are entitled to, especially in the case of women. Women who don't fit specific criteria, such as having particular outer and inner beauty, specific manners, or even a particular past, are called names. However, it is praised when a woman aspires to date other men. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Support us and help us spread support for men around the world. Do comment and share your thoughts. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.